Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Excited to have Dr. Tom Walsh back joining us, our professional of the year, our veterinarian who's doing so much to help so many with pet rehab and so much more. Hailing from beautiful Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Dr. Tom Walsh is back today, and our topic of focus will be about geriatric dogs. And so we have a lot in store, but first and foremost, let's welcome our guest, and would love for you to just give us a little overview as to who you are and what you do for those out there that don't know you yet.
Well, thank you, Jill. Thanks for having me. I am Dr. Tom Walsh. I'm out of Myrtle Beach. Like you said, I am a veterinarian that went on a long trek through life to try to figure out what was my passion. And I found out that rehabilitation of small animals was my passion, specifically dogs. Cats don't travel near as well as Jill would like them to, but I do mostly dogs. But it is the most rewarding aspect of veterinary medicine that I have found. So
Beautiful. Well, we're ecstatic that you're back and really excited to tell us where you are if they're watching
sure,
specifically in your
sure,
practice.
yeah, we're in the back part of my office. This right here is the underwater treadmill tank. The black thing in the background holds 3,800 gallons worth of water, and it goes through a filter system, so the water goes in and out of that tank. The water comes up from the bottom, the treadmill starts going, and the dogs start
Wow.
walking. So we're going to talk a lot about today about geriatric dogs, but this is one of the primary things that we use to help with those animals.
Beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about, the physical therapy for animals that you do and how we recognize these signs of aging dogs. Let's get started.
I think probably the most obvious sign of aging in a dog is pain, and it looks like a number of different things. It looks like difficulty in trying to get up out of the bed. It looks like I'm cutting my walks short. Maybe I'm even having attitude changes around
Hmm.
other housemates or other people in the household. I don't want to be bothered sometimes.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to shout out now because we're actually at a timely situation. You may notice I'm wearing a canine arthritis management hoodie here. This group is we're having a these are colleagues of mine, and we're having a symposium that is online this week. It is from April 25th through the 28th. It is a global symposium, and we'll get the information on here for you later. There is, you want to do a screenshot? There's a QR code at the end. These
Oh,
folks, Dr. Hannah Capon out of the UK, has made it her life mission to fight canine arthritis and
oh my
specifically their
goodness.
pain. So it kind of ties in really well with our theme this week because, honestly, these animals, they do everything they can to keep up with us. And they want to be part of the family. They don't want to be left behind. They want to go on the walks. They want to go on the car rides, all of those things. But slowing down is not just what we used to call, oh, well, they're getting older. So,
Yeah.
I guess it's okay for them to sleep 22 hours out of the day. We need to pay a little bit more attention to the signs.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for that. And let's also talk about, how really the most common thing in geriatric years and aging, it's affecting their mobility, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. When you see an animal trying to get up out of its bed and it has to position itself instead of springing right up, more than likely you've got some other factors involved. And obviously the most common thing is arthritis. 8 out of every 10 dogs have it in some form or another, even subclinical before we start to see signs on radiographs and that sort of thing. So it is that common in them. And I have to think that it probably has something to do with the environments that we put them in. If you think
Yeah.
about it, Jill, dogs are always on human surfaces. They are always on concrete, linoleum, hardwood, tile, whatever we're walking around on that's flat and easy to walk on, that's what they're walking on. However, that's not their natural environment. They normally would be outside in on the ground, in brush, under leaves, things that have a spring, an actual, an actual ability to cushion some of their blows. So, as much as we love them, sometimes our environment can contribute to their mobility situation.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, also, there's, arthritis in adults and humans as well, that we're all looking for the signs. And we're going to get to talk about some of the challenges and complications with that as well. Dr. Tom Walsh, we thank you for joining us here again live today on the show. If you are tuning in, he's a veterinarian based out of South Carolina, and he's a true believer, and let alone his patients, in pet rehab and the benefits of what it could do. So let's get back to it.
For sure. For sure. I think one of the biggest things that we have is the same problem we have in our own human children. If you think about it, 1 minute they are in their puppy stage, if you will, as humans, they are learning to crawl and everything is brand new, and they're having those first time experiences of learning to crawl, to stand, to balance, to steady themselves. And next thing you know, we're handing them the car keys to go out, and they're gone. They're 18 years old and they're moving on in life. And you sit back, and even though it was a day-to-day thing, you're like, what happened to the
Yeah.
with our dogs? It's very similar. We get up, we do the same thing each day. We go on our walks, we play ball in the backyard, we have all of the fun things. And then all of a sudden, we don't realize that, gosh, she really is 10 years old. She really is 11 years old until they start showing signs. And I guess the thing about it is with geriatric dogs is the pack mentality to try to keep up with the family
Yeah.
will
Hmm.
cause them to really drive themselves to do more things than we want to. So I'm really wanting to bring to light of in your own household how owners can say, hey, she used to be at that back door every single time I came home from work. Now
Yeah.
she's waiting for me in her bed. She's wagging her tail. She's super excited, but she's still not getting out of her bed. That's a good indication to where it
Hmm.
hurts to move. So little things like that to where it raises the awareness can get you in to go see your veterinarian. And then also, if you have a physical therapist in your area, we do a lot of things when it comes to dogs. When it comes to, part of our job is physical therapy. Absolutely. We've got to rehabilitate broken conditions, inflammation, pain, all of those good things. But a good portion of us also turns into this idea of being a personal trainer. Because once I reduce inflammation in your animal,
Yeah.
the goal is not to get them to repeat it again in 6 months. The
No.
goal is to turn them into a stronger individual, if possible, so that they are good for the next 3 to 5 years, not just a
A
temporary fix.
temporary fix.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let me also, point out you're talking about small animals and pets you're treating, especially those doggies out there. And what is old in dog years? Because that I don't understand either. Tell me, geriatric age, when does that start? And I always get confused with dog years to human years. So could you just tell me when a dog is really considered older?
That is a fantastic point. And it's actually
Basic
one.
question. I should have
It's a
asked it in the
fan, it's
beginning.
a because it's a basic misconception. We were told this old wives' tale that 1 human year is 7 dog years. The true reality of dog aging is this: in the first 12 months, they age remarkably quickly,
Okay.
and it really slows down. In fact, dogs that are, let's say you get somebody brings in a rescue off the street, nobody knows any history about them, and that dog is between 3 years old and 6 years old, or 3 and 8. It's really difficult to pin down how old that dog exactly is. We use
Yeah.
things like how much tartar is on the teeth. We use different things about their coat and that kind of thing, but it is a really good educated guesstimation, but there's
Sure.
no way to actually see. So their body is actually maintaining. So it's
Okay.
kind of like a rapid increase when we were a
Got it.
puppy, and
Mm-hmm.
then we are basically kind of maintaining as you would think you would be from, let's say, your late 20s to your mid 40s. Okay.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
somewhere in there, it's, there's different people that look older and look younger and act older and act younger based on their circumstances. Dogs are kind of the same way. And then, but what's really interesting is older dogs do a really good job because of the adaptation and the compensation. They really do a job of hiding it. They can
Ooh.
actually hide this idea that we're older than we are. It
I think
really,
humans do the same thing, especially
yeah.
men. No.
Yeah, right. And I've seen it so many times. People come in and they go, "Oh
Wow.
gosh, I didn't even realize until the vet told me that she was 12."
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they've kept up that youthful kind of exuberance, that doing the things that we love to do with them, go for the car rides, go get the pup cup, go do those fun things that make life worth living when you have a dog. It's amazing. And so, the thing is, we gravitate to those, and it's hard for us to see those signs unless you see a little bit later. So really, I don't say there is an age number, and I'll tell you this why to prove it on the backside of it is I obviously have a good portion of my animals here that I treat, roughly 60 to 80 dogs a week. Okay. And more than half of those are over the age of 10. And I have dogs that people come in and say, I can't believe she's 10. She's so old. She's this, that, and the other. And I look at them and I say, first of all, age is truly a number at the door. And if you prepare them right, you build them right, you get them in the proper stance, they're not hurting to move. I've got plenty of dogs in this office that come in here that are 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 years old. We just lost our oldest patient, 20-year-old lab. Now, nobody's ever heard of a 20-year-old lab. That doesn't happen very often. And so it is possible. And she was living her best life until, right at the end. She was moving around. We had her in the hydrotherapy tank. She was doing great. So age truly is a number when it comes to these things.
All right, thank you for that. Back to we're talking geriatric dogs, and we're going to talk about some of the challenges and complications with them. Where do we start? Mobility related issues.
Yeah, so I guess probably the biggest thing is some dogs are smaller, obviously, and so picking them up and helping them doesn't seem to be a big deal, except that you realize that those smaller dogs are always located on the floor. And if you,
Mm-hmm.
as a human, have mobility issues, that can be a real concern. So
Yeah.
helping them with slings and that sort of thing can be an issue when it comes to helping with those dogs. Some people want to go straight into a wheelchair. If my dog's having difficulty with my back legs, let's say they've got a degenerative disease to where we're a little bit older, we've got arthritis and this, and the back legs aren't functioning. They want to go right into a wheelchair because they've seen them online, and it's such a beautiful thing to see those dogs scampering around in the woods. That is that certainly is a possibility. The thing is, it's foreign to them, and so no dog that I've ever put into a wheelchair has ever scampered off anywhere. It is like adding an extra, foot and a half to their hips, and it's also chained to them so that everywhere they move, they feel it, they hear it, and it's one of those things that can be very disconcerting. Once you get past that, they can move very well. So owners need to get out of that mindset that, oh, the wheelchair will fix everything. See, we were designed as humans to sit on our butt. And so being in a wheelchair, if we have to go with that route, we can still do a lot of things in life. Dogs were not designed to be in that position. And so we have to work them through that. Another thing about we talked about small dogs, and we talked about dogs in, maybe in wheelchairs as extremes, but even just an older dog that is a little bit bigger, let's say 55, 60 pound lab, trying to get them in and out of the car can be a real tough thing. So we really work hard with owners to maybe secure if they're having hind limb weakness and that sort of thing, secure a very good sling. Help them up harness makes an amazing sling that has two handles, one at the shoulder and one at that back there at the butt, so that they can actually, you can get the front legs in and help with the back legs. This extends the life of a lot of things. It extends the life of the dog being able to do dog things. And it also extends the ability for owners who may be getting up there. We see it all the time here in Myrtle Beach. Old owners getting a little bit older, and now they've got a dog that weighs a good amount, and it's difficult to get them in and out of things. So those can be really challenging, but we help them through it.
Oh my goodness. And I mean, you said there's other conditions, not just arthritis, but there's a lot of things that can arise and complications with this. And not everybody, gives their animals the proper treatment. So did you want to talk a little bit about that too?
Sure, absolutely. The thing is, when we part of what that midlife we were talking about how the dog virtually doesn't age very much at all from its adulthood, right about a year and a half or 2 years of age, all the way until maybe 8 or 10, that can lull us into a false sense of security. And
Mm-hmm.
that means, we go to the vet to get our shots, do what we've got to do. We do the bare minimum. And then we turn around and the dog maybe has overweight problems. Maybe we've developed a neurologic problems.
Yeah.
Maybe we are in a situation to where we had an injury when we were playing, and now all of a sudden we're compensating for that by shifting weight, and our gait is all off in the back. So we have to look at those kind of things. I like to I like to look at the whole animal when it comes to these things. One thing we're missing in human medicine is when you go in and you've got a bum ankle, they wrap your ankle, they give you some medicine, send you on your way. They don't ask you about your hip or your lower back or anything else that might be related to that, because you're compensating or feeling that pain going up the back of your side. Dogs who are built on all four legs, they compensate very well. So they very easily can be having a little bit of arthritis in that back end. And now all of a sudden we're shifting all that weight forward, which complicates what we're doing up front, which changes their gait, which we can lose muscle mass. We can do all these kinds of things. And it was just a simple thing to where it hurts when I do that. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to adapt just so I can keep up.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that. And by the way, when you are working with your animals here behind you, again, I just want to point out this is good for geriatric dogs, right? Tell
Yeah.
me specifically again how this works and what can they do, like
Oh,
to how to,
yeah.
yeah.
For sure. If you're watching online, the underwater treadmill, the water comes up from the bottom, the dogs start walking, and we use hydrotherapy in animal medicine in two different ways.
Okay.
You go to the beach or a lake, and you're walking in the water right above your ankles. If you walk a good distance, you're going to start to feel it above your knees and your quads, maybe your lower back. And that is called resistance hydrotherapy. You are trying to go up and over and you're dragging your legs through that. And it's actually causing a good range of motion through your legs. And that can be a good workout. It's kind of like you doing a Stairmaster at the gym. Same type thing. You're lifting your legs up and over. That's resistance hydrotherapy. Okay. When you raise the water, you start to displace the body weight. So what happens is if you get the water up to about the shoulder, it's about 65% of the dog's body weight, which is so important when it comes to
Okay.
geriatric dogs. Think about it. I'm an older dog. I've been sitting around more. Maybe my muscle
Mm-hmm.
mass isn't what it used to be. I've got
True. Let's be
arthritis.
honest. Let's be
Yep.
honest.
That's right. I've got this arthritis that's working on my back end. Okay. So it kind of does hurt and be achy to move. So I'm not going to move. So I'm going to adapt a different type of walk. When I
Interesting.
displace them and I put them up in the
Oh,
water, they're able to
oh,
float
excuse me. I dropped
to
my
a
mouse. Go ahead. I'm listening. I want to
That's all
make
right.
sure this is in. Go ahead.
That's all right. But but they start to they float, but they don't float with their feet off the ground. They're actually on the treadmill, so they're continuing to go, and they're actually doing really what we call buoyancy hydrotherapy.
So amazing.
And that really displaces that body weight. It takes the weight off the joints, and they're able to move freely, which encourages them to build more muscle mass for through a greater range of motion. So it's a really everybody loves to see a dog in a tank, and I would have mine in it. He's not geriatric. I would have him walk in there, but he would be wondering where the treats are at the front end, and he'd be turning around looking at me, going, "Where are the treats?"
I love it. I love it. All right, we still got 5 more minutes, sweetheart. What else did you want to add to the conversation today
You
about
know,
those animals?
Yeah, I think that just to kind of circle around to that same idea of, hey, let's look at the entire animal. Since age is not a number, pretty much if we can be looking over the age, if you've had your animal for more than 5 years or believe your animal's more than 5 years old, start taking a really good evaluation of their energy levels, of how they present themselves. Are they running around the house doing zoomies in the backyard, all of those things. When they come back from that, are they limping? Are they sore? Do they rest for 4 hours or 6 hours? And then you call them and they're like, I'll get up here in a minute. Hold on. Really start to evaluate what that looks like in your house, because their body is trying to
Yeah.
tell you something. And if you just can't figure it out, and that's okay, you weren't trained to, consult a physical therapist, consult somebody. And also, it goes back to, these canine arthritis management folks. If you look up on Facebook, they have an unbelievably strong support staff that can help you through some of these things. Even though this is a UK based operation, we are bringing it to the United States. Last year for this symposium, they had 5,500. This year, we're on track for more than 12,000 people will be joining us virtually for the 25th through the 28th. Go online, canine arthritis management, just put that in Google. It will find it first thing. And I'm telling you, you're going to get some great tips and tricks to really help your aging dog.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here, Dr. Tom Walsh, as always. Would you mind sharing how we could reach out to you?
Sure thing. My website is primepetrehab.com. And you can look for us on Facebook and Instagram. If you just squish Prime and Pet together and look for the blue dog, you'll be able to find us, and we're all over social media that way. And
Beautiful.
of
Thank
course,
you
if you're
again.
local in Myrtle Beach area, if you're anywhere in South Carolina or lower North Carolina, we got a lot of folks that come over the border. So just look us up online. Come on
Yeah.
down. We'd love to help you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Tom Walsh. Always a pleasure having you here and great to see inside the office.
That's
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and we'll chat soon. Thanks so much.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.